So, you want a brand new car and all the benefits that comes with, but you want to spend as little money as possible. These are your three options. The Kia Picanto, the Dacia Sandero and the Skoda Citigo are the cheapest mainstream cars on sale in the UK. So, the question is, what are you compromising to save that cash?
And with a starting price of just under £6,000, the Sandero is the cheapest of the three cars we're looking at today by more than £2,000. Now for that little amount of cash, you don't get much in the way of equipment. The basic model has to make do with these big black plastic bumpers, and you only get a choice of one colour, and that's this white. It's pretty clear that Dacia hasn't just saved money on the visible stuff though. There's not much in the way of insulation. You get the 1.2 litre petrol engine up to motorway speeds and it makes quite a bit of a racket, and there's a fair amount of wind and road noise as well. Now, despite this, it's actually pretty quiet at lower speeds, and the soft suspension means it copes well with potholes. It does, however, result in it bouncing a bit over the bigger bumps.
The Skoda Citigo is a cute, dinky three-door hatch that costs just under £8,000. This test car is actually quite a lot higher spec than that, and there is no getting away from the fact that the base car is just that. It's very basic. You don't get aircon, you don't get electric windows, you don't get USB input. What you do get is a radio, a CD player, and this is the only car in the test that gets an auxiliary input, which means you can plug your iPod in. Standard engine is a 59 brake horsepower, 3-cylinder petrol. It's got a really nice thrummy exhaust note actually, so it's quite good fun. The steering's nice and light, it's really easy to see out, and generally, it's just a really easy, relaxing car to drive.
If you want your cheap car to be pretty, then arguably the Picanto is the best of the three here, but if you want it to drive and handle beautifully, then that's another story. Unfortunately, the 1 litre engine takes a fair bit of work to get up to speed, more so than the other two, and it manages to feel slow as well. When it gets there, it actually feels quite stable at high speeds, and around town it's got a tiny turning circle, so it's quite nimble. Unfortunately, the steering is really numb and it doesn't self-centre, so it's not always very easy to know where the wheels are pointing. Worst of all, the brakes are snatchy and the accelerator and the clutch are oddly out of kilter, so that you can end up bunny hopping around and looking like a learner, even if you're not actually learning to drive. One thing that is very good on this car compared to the other two is the kit list. You get a CD player and radio, electric windows and remote locking, all included as standard.
The Sandero is way bigger than our other two budget buys. It's 5-door as standard, and it's actually comparable in size to something like a Ford Fiesta or Volkswagen Polo, which is why there is loads of space up here, even for a much taller driver. However, it's not all roses because there isn't much adjustment. There's no height adjustment at all, in fact, to the steering wheel or to the seat, so it is a bit difficult to get comfortable. Safety's not that bad actually. You do get 4 airbags and you get stability control as standard, so it does score a respectable 4 stars in the Euro NCAP tests. Also, because it's really boxy and high-roofed, you actually get really good visibility. As you'd expect, there's loads of room in the back, although it's not great that there aren't any headrests. Those with longer legs who are sat behind tall people might find that their knees are brushing the seats in front. Whilst, predictably, the Sandero does have a bigger boot than the other two cars, it is really irritating because you have to open it with the car key or with a lever by the driver's seat. Still, you do get a 60-40 split rear bench as standard, and it is just much more practical than you'll have in the other two cars. Only other serious irritation with the Sandero is these doors, which are really dangerous. They could take your eye out.
Now, if you get the tape measure out, the Citigo is marginally the shortest of all three cars here, but as soon as you get inside, it is deceptively spacious. There is bags of room up front, and it is relatively easy to get comfy behind the wheel. Now, unfortunately, the base level trim and the seat doesn't go up and down, but the wheel does, even if it doesn't go in and out. The back seats are deceptively spacious as well, and my 6-foot frame is perfectly well catered for both in headroom and legroom. The only problem is these front seats. When you return them back upright, they don't go back where they were, so you've got to put them in the right position manually every time. There's a decent amount of space in the boot as well for such a small car, even if you do have to haul things over this massive boot lip. The Citigo has also performed well on crash tests, getting 5 stars from Euro NCAP. Unfortunately, the base model doesn't get ESP anti-skid control though, and you have to go up to the next level or pay £300 to get it as an extra.
The Picanto is available as a 5-door, but the cheaper model is a 3-door. There is plenty of room up front for a 6-footer, and there is standard driver's seat height adjustment, which is really good. What is less useful is the fact that the steering wheel doesn't adjust to get closer to you, it only goes up and down. Safety is pretty good. You get 6 airbags and all the necessary driver's electronic aids, and the Kia gets 4 stars out of 5 in the Euro NCAP tests. It is a little bit of a squeeze to get into the back of the Picanto, and once you're here, the seat feels really flat and it's a bit uncomfortable. So, whilst it is light and there is plenty of headroom for the average sized adult, it's not somewhere they're really going to want to be for a long journey. Picanto does get a 60-40 split rear bench, which is useful because the boot is a little bit pokey. It's big enough for a suitcase, but you are going to struggle with a weekly shop for 4. So, the boot's going to be perfectly easy to live with for your average Picanto owner. The only thing that's going to probably really irritate on a daily basis is those grabby brakes.
Now, while there is a lot to like about the basic versions of all 3 of these cars, the mid-level specs are actually better value for money. But if saving money is the be-all and end-all, you'd be forgiven for thinking that the Sandero is a clear winner.
Actually, that's not the case. The Skoda Citigo will still carry 4 people easily, it will hold its value better, and it's better to drive. The Picanto, on the other hand, is pretty much outclassed on every score. So, you want the cheapest car in the UK? Skoda Citigo is your best bet.
For more information on all 3 of these cars, head to whatcar.com, but while you're here, click subscribe and check out the rest of our videos.